Hello, darlings. I'm going to lecture the second half of Chapter 2. Lesson 2.3 is about carbon compounds. Okay, so basically we are going to talk about bonding here. So we just wanted to point out that there are different types of bonds between carbons and hydrogens. We have a single bond here. This one is showing you a triple bond, and then we have double bonds. So the different types of bonding is what helps to determine the complexity of your molecules. Let me put this in percent mode. All right. So we can have much more complex molecules, and they can contain different types of bonding. Benzenes are considered rings, like you can see there. Oh, it's clicking through. Okay, so that would be considered a chain, a ring, and this is a branching chain. All right, so on to macromolecules. They are large organic molecules found in living things. They go through something called polymerization. So they become polymers, meaning large chains. All right, and a monomer is one, mono meaning one, so it's one piece. When you put a bunch together after polymerization, you call it a polymer. Carbohydrates, they are living things that use, living things use carbohydrates as sources of energy for structural purposes. In this example, it's showing you a starch. Like that would be in a potato. And if you look at the actual chemical structure, it looks like this. So inside of those starches, we have a lot of molecules of glucose. Okay, so again, this would be a polymer, and this would be the monomer of it. So the polymer is all these chained together. Okay, so some more words for you. We call these a polysaccharide, and the basic subunit would be a monosaccharide. For lipids are super big and super complex. They are a large group and a varied group of macromolecules that are not generally soluble in water. So if you have a cup of water and you pour oil on top, it's of course going to sit on the surface. Another reason, for example, as to why it's so hard to lose a couple pounds is because those lipids are so complex. I mean, look at that thing. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of energy in order to break those down. Okay, and this part up here is called the glycerol, and this part is the fatty acid. All right, so this is showing you what an unsaturated fat would look like. All right, nucleic acids. So we know that nucleic acids are polymers of nucleotides, which are your DNA and RNA, right? Okay. So in your DNA, you do have a 5-carbon sugar, you have a phosphate group, and you have a nitrogenous base. So this is the structure of what DNA is. It has 3 parts, and we will be learning this more in depth when we get to the DNA chapters. Proteins are polymers made up of amino acids. So general structure, it will have hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon. It'll have this R group here. Okay, so amino groups are NH2. Carboxyl groups are usually like a COOH, so this one over here. And what do they form? They form a peptide bond. This was supposed to circle over here. They form a peptide bond. So if you're wondering what a protein forms and they ask what type of bonding, it's a peptide bond. All right, protein structure is a functional molecule built from one or more polypeptides. There are websites on the internet that you can look at the structures of different proteins. They have like 3D images of them, and you can see them. This is what they look like if you were to turn this molecule. It's just this big swirly looking blob, and this is actually at the molecular level what a protein looks like. And you can see the amino acids right here. All right, if you zoom in on this tiny little spot right there, aka your DNA. All right, so lesson 4, look at us moving right along. Lesson 4 is about chemical reactions and enzymes. A chemical reaction changes one set of chemicals into another. The elements or compounds that engage in a chemical reaction are known as reactants. The elements or compounds produced by a chemical reaction are known as the products. So products come out at the end. Reactants are what you start with. Energy. Chemical reactions that release energy often occur spontaneously. Reactions that absorb energy require a source of energy. All right, so this is showing you your energy absorbing reactions here. All right, and then your energy releasing. A significant spike up here. All right, and this one's more gradual. All right, and energy releasing is a spontaneous. All right, this is another vocab word for you. Activation energy is in those energy absorbing and the energy releasing reactions. So activation energy would be that peak of the spike. Okay, enzymes. They lower activation energy and speed up chemical reactions in cells. Take a second to absorb this graph here. You've got your reactants. You've got a reaction pathway without the enzyme comparing to the reaction pathway with the enzyme. Okay, and you can see the activation energy is much smaller. The activation energy without an enzyme is much larger here. Okay, so in order for enzymes to work, we need to look at the enzyme substrate complex. You don't need to know a whole lot about this, but I'm just going to give you a brief overview of how enzymes work. So you'll have an enzyme carbonic anhydrase. So here is your enzyme, and it has an activation site. And what happens is molecules will know where to find that substrate. So they bind to a specific enzyme. So they will place themselves inside of that enzyme substrate complex. Okay, so those are the substrates, and they know to go and find that specific enzyme that they need to help process any chemical reaction, or a specific one actually. All right, and then the substrates are converted into products. And for example, we have now carbonic acid as an example of one chemical reaction that would happen. That is our product. All right, guys, so that's it for our chemistry chapter. Again, it's just a very brief overview of a few chemistry concepts. You will be taking chemistry next year, and it will be much more in depth. So let me know if you have any other questions. I'll see you soon. Bye.